And welcome everyone to our last preseason Power 36 as the new AP poll top 25 is out here on the Monday. The regular season for college basketball for 2019-2020 begins 2 weeks from tomorrow, November 5th, the Champions Classic in New York City at Madison Square Garden. And look what we have here. We've got the top 4 teams in the Power 36 on one side of your screen, and the top 4 teams in the AP top 25 are all in the Champions Classic. So let's compare and contrast. I'm going to take some questions here. First off, in the Power 36, Michigan State, Kansas, Kentucky, Duke. AP poll, Michigan State, Kentucky, Kansas, Duke. So we agree on Duke at number 4. They have the most inexperienced team of the 4. I'm a little higher on Kansas at this juncture than Kentucky, just by a smidge. And a lot of that has to do with the experienced bigs coming back in Udoka Azubuike and Silvio De Souza. We will see how De Souza plays, since he has not played for almost 2 seasons because he was ineligible last season. Consensus on Michigan State. This is their best chance to win the national championship, even though they've been in the Final Four multiple times since. This is as confident as I'm feeling about Michigan State winning the national championship since they last won it 20 years ago in 2000. All right, let's continue down. My Power 36, the rest of my top 10, Maryland in the Big Ten, Florida, who I've got going in the Final Four out of the SEC, Seton Hall in the Big East, Louisville, who ultimately, even though it's weird, I didn't pick them higher than Duke right now, but I think Louisville will win the ACC. A little strange. I get it. Texas Tech, North Carolina. AP poll. You've got Louisville, Florida, Maryland, Gonzaga, North Carolina. So, a little bit of a difference here. Gonzaga, I've got an 11. They've got an 8. Killian Tilly hurt right now at his knee scope. Also, the point guard situation, even though they had their scrimmage win over Michigan State, Admon Gilder, Ryan Wooldridge, transfers, let's see how they handle the new system at Gonzaga. 8 to 11 in the preseason, not a big deal. Villanova 10 for them. Villanova slid all the way down to 19 for me for now, because I'm basing this on what we know now. Well, Colin Gillespie, broken nose, so he did not play in the exhibition against USC at the Galen Center on Friday night. Antoine was out as well, so basically you could argue their projected backcourt didn't play against USC. So we're going to wait and see how this all plays out, because Antoine's got a shoulder situation, and Gillespie, the broken nose, I would expect him to be ready for their opener. But so Villanova, look, they lost Booth and Pascal. I'm going to slide them down a little. So that's why I've got them now at 19. Going further down, Virginia 11, I got them 13, kind of same neighborhood. They got Seton Hall 12. I got them higher up at 7. Texas Tech 13. I'm not going to go down on the Red Raiders now at the beginning of the season. Not this time. Nuh-uh. I got them at 9, as you just heard. Memphis 14 because of the inexperience. I have them at 12. And then Oregon, they're not completely eligible yet. That's why I slid them further down to 24. They got them at 15. Baylor lost Mario Kegler. That's why I put them a little further in the 20s. We agree on Utah State, where they should be, somewhere in this range. Well, they have them at 17. I got them at 26. I want to wait and see how they do in the non-conference. Then Xavier, St. Mary's are teams that I've got. St. Mary's at 25. Xavier a little higher at 20. Ohio State, 18. AP, I got them at 16. LSU at 22. I got them at 32 because I want to wait. The bigs are new. I want to wait on LSU. I'm a little higher on Purdue. I got Purdue at 14. They got them at 23. And then we've got Auburn, VCU. I got Auburn, same range, 24, 25. I got Auburn 23. I slid VCU down to 34. Maybe I just also want to wait. School I did not mention. They have Arizona 21. I have Arizona in my group that was right outside. Why? A lot of freshmen. I just want to wait and see. I fully expect Arizona by the end of the season to be in the mix at the top of the Pac-12. A lot of freshmen led by Nico Mannion. I want to wait and see how it all plays out. So, a couple quick house cleaning items before we get to the Power 36. Also on NCAA.com, I've got my 11 teams that are under the radar, that didn't crack my Power 36. They don't have to be one bid league type teams, because I've got Wichita State, I've got Syracuse, I've got Ole Miss in there. West Virginia is a team I thought about putting in there. I'm going to see them at Big 12 Media Day on Wednesday, but they're certainly in that mix. I know they went higher in the Big 12 preseason rankings. Bradley, a team that gave Michigan State fits in the first round of the NCAA tournament. UTSA, great high-scoring backcourt. Check them out of Conference USA. Western Kentucky was picked first, then UTSA. Keep an eye on UTSA. St. Bonaventure out of the A-10. Great guard play. Mark Schmidt always has very good guard play. They're going to be a factor in the Atlantic 10 as well. Further, my Power 36, AP poll stops obviously 25. Schools to think about here. Marquette, okay. Marcus Howard, he can lead this team pretty far. Davidson, tremendous trio with Luke Frampton, Kellen Grady, John Axel Goodmanson. The Badgers, Penn State, Lamar Stevens could be a first-team All-American. Wisconsin, really good guards. Colorado, McKinley Wright IV, could be the Pac-12 Player of the Year. Tennessee, Lamonte Jordan's going to lead them. Lamonte Turner, excuse me. He's going to lead the Vols. Houston, they were picked with Memphis to win the American. And look, I like to select at least one bid league team in the preseason to keep an eye on. I'm going with Vermont and the Catamounts. Favorite in the America East, Anthony Lamb could win America East Player of the Year yet again. This is a team, if they get a good seed, and I mean like a 13, they could be a factor for a first-round upset in the NCAA tournament. All right, so let's go to some questions here. How do I feel about Georgetown? Asked Brendan Burns. Love Georgetown. James Akinjo. So I have Georgetown 18. Georgetown, good call on that one, Brandon, because Georgetown didn't make the AP poll. They made my Power 36. Okay, James Akinjo, Mac McClung, Omar Yurtseven. That's a threesome that certainly could be, I think, talented enough to get Georgetown in that top 3 in the Big East. Let's keep this going here. Anthony does not agree with my Vermont pick at number 36, okay, among mid-tier teams. Yes, could I have gone with Arizona there? Certainly. Could I have gone with Wichita State, Syracuse? Go to the NCAA.com or, click on that March Madness link, which leads you to NCAA.com to then see the teams that were under consideration. I did it alphabetically by conference, so not to really show favors here, but that's where you'll see a lot of those teams. But look, I think at a time like this, Vermont deserves some recognition, and that's why I put them at number 36. How do I feel about Baylor? Asks Dylan Story. I'm going to be at Big 12 Media Day on Wednesday, so we'll certainly be talking to the Bears. The Kegler loss hurts them on the perimeter, but Tristan Clark is back healthy, which is massive for the Bears because he could be the Big 12 Player of the Year. Illinois, Matthew Curl says, all in. Once again, Illinois team, not in the top 25. I've got them at 15. 15. Okay, Georgia Bashanisvili, kind of criticized me when I did my first preseason Power 36 after the Final Four, and I had Illinois at, I think it was like 35 or something like that, 36. Well, each time I've done this in the offseason, I've gotten more and more buy-in into Illinois. And so I got them at number 15. What about Cincinnati? So Cincinnati with Jaron Cumberland, they were in my grouping of right outside. And I just want to wait. New coach, John Brennan, let's see what happens. They're going to be playing a little bit more faster. Let's see if they've got the toughness defensively that they had. Robert Bradshaw, why is Arizona missing? Because I just want to wait and see at least the first week or two of the season. See how they do with all those newcomers. Maybe I should have put them in. That's a fair, criticism. But they got plenty of time. This is a preseason poll. How much impact do I think Cole Anthony will have? Asks Jade DeMorris. And do I think 9 is right for the Tar Heels? Well, yes. Because Cole Anthony first is going to have a major impact. He could be not just ACC Freshman of the Year or ACC Player of the Year. We'll see. Could be National Freshman of the Year. good competition with James Wiseman and Anthony Edwards. But look, Garrison Brooks is going to run the floor. He's the returning starter. If he can become a much more or better scorer inside, I should say, they're going to have the balance they need, but they're going to be right there. Gio says, can Notre Dame rebound from last year's injuries? Yes. Notre Dame was in my grouping of other teams. Okay, I've got them going to the NCAA tournament. Rex Pfluger back after tearing his ACL, and TJ Gibbs, John Mooney, who clearly is one of the better players in the ACC. Didn't have my top 10. I get it. I heard from ACC and Irish fans. But he's certainly one of the better scorers in the ACC. I think they're going to be in the tournament. They were also in my sort of under consideration group of teams. Florida at 6, asks Ian. Well, Florida's got everything. Kerry Blackshear Jr., the transfer from Virginia Tech, he was the perfect replacement, the void that they desperately needed. Okay? Once they got him, they filled it, like they added Scotty Lewis, one of the best freshmen in the country. Andrew Nemhard's back. Kenyatta Johnson. They've got all the pieces to make a potential Final Four run. So, I agree. And Florida is on a mission. Mike White is a tremendous coach, person, father, husband, everything. He's great. Love him. All right. Steven says, good to see the love for Purdue. Who's a surprise player on their team that no one knows about? Well, that would be no one outside of West Lafayette. And so, Travion Williams certainly will be become a national name. Wheeler will certainly become a big-time name for them. So, look, if Nogel Eastern can be that combo guard, that point, replacing Carson Edwards that they need, I feel very comfortable putting them in that mid-teams and being a top 4 Big Ten team. Let's see here. Let's get a couple more here as I load the questions. Hunter wants to know, when is Quaddy Green being deemed eligible? Right now, if nothing changes, it would be at the mid-December point for Washington, gets them their point. And look, there's no question that it's going to be them or Oregon or Arizona, possibly Colorado. One of the 4 is going to win the Pac-12, and Washington's going to be in the NCAA tournament, and they got a chance to go at least 2 rounds. What do I give us our picks? Kurt Stone says for the Champions Classic. Well, I'm going to go with Michigan State over Kentucky based on experience, but I think that's going to be a phenomenal game. Great game. And then the Duke-Kansas game, that's the one we got to, that's the one that, clearly will be the most intriguing, because on paper, Kansas has the more experienced front court, arguably a more experienced guard in Devin Dotson, even though Trey Jones comes back. He's just a sophomore. So Kansas on paper has the more experienced team. They added Isaiah Moss, the transfer from Iowa. But this feels like the kind of game where Duke could pull off an upset. So I'm leaning Kansas. My head says Kansas. But I wouldn't be surprised by a Duke win. So right now, 2 weeks out, I'm going to go Michigan State and Kansas with the wins there. Edward Singleton says Michigan should be in the polls. Well, I have Michigan in the under consideration once again. Want to see what happens with them, in terms of Juwan Howard, new coaching staff. Big 3, they've got Xavier Simpson, Isaiah Livers, and John Teskey. Let's see how the freshmen perform here early. All right. Jimmy wants to know why the big difference between the AP and my Power 36 for Villanova. So I have Villanova at 19. They have Villanova at 10. And the reason is I'm now dealing with what we're seeing on the court. And on the court, Villanova did not have its backcourt injured against USC in an exhibition Friday night on the Pac-12 network, and USC pulled away from them. USC was the better team on that night. That's why I have USC at 17, Villanova at 19. I think AP is projecting a healthy Villanova, putting them at 10. Could I see Villanova as a top 10 team by the season's end? Of course. But I actually had results to go on here. I have USC at a 17, whereas AP doesn't even mention them. So they weren't really even looking, I think, at the results over the last couple of days. All right, let's take 2 more here. Tim Thomas, why not Ole Miss in the top 36? Once again, Ole Miss part of my under consideration, also part of my teams that are going to be under the radar, led by Breein Tyree. I undervalue them in the offseason. Saw Kermit Davis and their backcourt down at SEC Media Day last week, and no problem eating a little crow there. I think Ole Miss will be much better than I initially projected. So they are under consideration. One last one. Let's see here. Ryan, of course, is picking Kentucky over Michigan State. Fair. Matchup between Ashton Hagans and Cassius Winston should be outstanding. All right. Jackson asks, how do I feel about the Pac-10? It's really the Pac-12. And Arizona State. And Gene Babcock asked about Providence. Providence also under consideration. They're dealing with a lot of injuries right now. That's why I kept them out. Once again, dealing with the facts right now. ASU, under consideration. I've got them ultimately making the NCAA tournament led by Remy Martin. So Pac-12, I think, could actually have 6 teams in the NCAA tournament this year. I think entering the season, at least 8 go into the season really feeling like they have a legitimate shot to get into the NCAA tournament. All right, so next week, actually the next 2 Mondays, we won't be doing this because we're going to hold this Power 36 for the next 2 weeks. The season starts on November 5th. Then, beginning on November 11th, the following Monday, we will do this every Monday. New Power 36, new AP poll. So, hold these thoughts, debate, digest these 2 polls, and in 3 weeks' time, we'll have a week of the season under our belt, and we will do this again. Bring your questions, challenge me on all these different polls and rankings and all that. I want to hear from all of our fans here at March Madness. Thanks for watching.